We all know big is bigger than small. And of course, massive is bigger than big. And mega is even bigger than massive and way bigger than big. Well, this isn't big, and it's not massive, and it's not just mega. This is the Mega Massive Oh My Goodness Merry Mortgage Giveaway from Cable Bahamas. Our grand prize winner will get their mortgage and utilities paid for a full year. Another winner will get their utility payments, and another winner will get all their cable services for an entire year. That's up to $40,000 in prizes in the Mega Massive Oh My Goodness Merry Mortgage Giveaway. If you want to win, just sign up for Rare Voice Bahamaland, the unlimited nationwide home phone service that's packed with features for one low price of just $14.99 a month. This is the time to upgrade your home phone service to Rare Voice Bahamaland, and we'll pay your mortgage and utility payments up to $25,000 for a full year. Rare Voice Bahamaland, the Bahamas' most reliable home phone service with nationwide coverage and a chance to win in the Mega Massive Oh My Goodness Merry Mortgage Giveaway.
The government is still working out details for a VAT court. Tonight we look at what value-added tax means for the shipping industry. The woman allegedly stabbed by a police officer dies in hospital. Plus an in-depth conversation on dating and marriage in the Bahamas. I'm Nikia DeVoe and this is NB12. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us here at Cable 12 Studios. Here are the stories coming out of the NB12 newsroom this Friday evening. The woman allegedly stabbed repeatedly by her police officer husband on Wednesday night has died. NB12 understands that the woman, identified by distraught family members as Alfreda Stubbs, succumbed to her injuries this afternoon. Stubbs' husband, a 43-year-old police constable, is still in police custody. It is alleged that the officer stabbed his wife and teenage son at their home in Sir Lyndon Pindling Estates around 9 Wednesday night. Now, Superintendent Stephen Dean said there were 2 other children in the house at the time of the incident. The police constable was arrested in the Seabreeze area a short time later. The son is still in hospital. We'll, of course, continue to follow the story and bring you updates as they become available. Well, Attorney General Alison Maynard Gibson has revealed that there's still some mystery surrounding a proposed VAT court. In a recent interview with NB12, the AG revealed the government has not worked out all of the details of its planned revenue court, although she says something will be in place in the coming months. Our Jasmine Bonamy has more in this report.
One thing is clear. Details surrounding a court handling VAT matters have not been hammered out less than a year before the controversial tax regime is slated to come into force. But Maynard Gibson stressed that the new system will be implemented next year to enforce value-added collection and other outstanding government revenue. The court is intended to fast-track prosecutions for tax evasion. Last month, Maynard Gibson said the government is working to ensure that 10 criminal courts are running simultaneously by January to help reduce the backlog of cases. When asked if new judges would be hired for the tax court or if more facilities are needed for the system, she gave this reply.
I can't say yes or no. What I can say is that what is necessary to make sure that the laws that we put on the books are brought into effect will be done. But we really need to work smart. I did say that by January, and it may be a little bit later than January, we'd like to see 4 temporary courts added, which is 10 criminal courts. But those are temporary courts, so that once the backlog is broken, it may well be that those judges who were temporary judges for criminal purposes will now be deployed to something else. That really is a decision to be made by those who are responsible for the appointment of judges and the executive who funds those appointments also.
Maynard Gibson said she believes the Office of the Attorney General can handle the load of the proposed court. And according to the Attorney General, the new VAT court will likely be implemented in the magistrates' court system, with police prosecutors expected to try the matters. The government plans to introduce VAT at a rate of 15% in most cases on July 1, 2014. The proposed VAT regime would impose strict penalties on those who fail to comply. The system would allow the proposed Central Revenue Agency to demand details of assets from banks, garnish money owed to registrants by others, and restrict access to travel for those who owe outstanding taxes. Those who break VAT laws would also face fines.
The direction we'll be moving in is making sure that there is a court or there are specific courts designated for tax collection purposes. I think we can see it. I think for sure we'll see it in place next year. And again, I think Bahamians want to see it happen. I mean, don't just bring taxes on and just let it slide through things slide through the cracks. If you're putting something on the books, let's make sure it happens.
VAT is expected to improve revenue by $200 million, according to official estimates. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
Well, the shipping industry is bracing for the onset of VAT next year, while some questions still remain about what will and will not be exempt from the tax. CEO of Arawak Port Development, Michael Mora, says the industry is ready for the introduction of the new tax. Christina McNeil has the details.
We expect to have to be required to assess whatever that VAT percentage is. We are a service provider. So wherever we have a charge, we would be expected to assess that VAT percentage. At the moment, it's being explained that it's going to be 15%. So that, as an example, we charge $40 to take a 20-foot container off the ship. So we would have to apply 15% to that $40. So that's how we pass it on. We will be impacted, like any business. The shipping companies will be impacted. Basically everybody in the process will be impacted.
Mora notes that the entire shipping industry will be impacted across the board. And while APD currently boasts some of the lowest rates in the industry, he supports the introduction of VAT and how it proposes to help the country work its way out of a deficit.
I do believe, this is where I live. I don't have any place to go. We have a huge issue with our debt. We need to pay our bills. We have services that we expect the government to provide every day. I expect to pay more as an individual. I just want to make sure I understand how it's all going to work so that I can, add it all together.
APD was one of several stakeholders engaged in consultations with the Ministry of Finance earlier this year. The creation of a central revenue agency will accompany the introduction of VAT, which will be charged with regulating and collecting VAT. That agency will also have the power to demand details of assets from banking institutions, garnish money owed to registrants by others, and restrict access to travel for those who owe outstanding taxes. Mora says while he understands the need to implement VAT, he hopes that efficiency in the tax collection and regulation process can also be improved.
My comments have honestly been about efficiency. It's one thing to come up with a tax, which again, I appreciate the fact that we need to get more money out of the economy to help pay our bills, and I support that. But at the same time, we all have to become as efficient as possible, and that includes government. And so government needs to be looking within and making sure that it's right-sized against where we are. And that when you take a downturn, you got to right size. When you take an upturn, you right size. And, from my personal perspective, that's what I'm looking for. I'll do my part, they got to do their part.
To find out more about how VAT may impact you and your business, visit the Ministry of Finance's website. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.
Dozens of concerned Bahamians showed up to the first public forum on value-added tax last night, held at Workers' House. They were urged by one of the VAT coordinators in the Ministry of Finance not to get overwhelmed by the looming tax reform that will be implemented in the next fiscal year. Ishmael Lightbourne said it is important for people to not get swept up by the fear of hysteria surrounding the tax.
And we need, as Bahamians, to push on a national coalition level to ensure that this process does not become paralyzed by fear, by hysteria, by misinformation, and by people trying to capitalize in a process where we as Bahamians, our stakes, our children's stake, an interest is at stake. And we ought to be part of this process in understanding how we are to fix this problem. So I ask you to join us in moving ahead.
Lightbourne pointed to the fact that the country ran a deficit of almost $200 million per year for the last 7 years. He said the conversation surrounding that must be grounded in the country's current fiscal position. He said it's imperative that moving forward, Bahamians are not swayed by partisan politics.
And so there is an urgency that we as citizens don't allow this process to become politically polarized. Otherwise, it is going to hamper the process of reform that is so absolutely necessary. We cannot postpone this process. If we do it at our peril.
Then it was time for Bahamians to ask the panel of coordinators some of the burning questions they have about VAT.
Have you considered funerals? Funerals are exempted.
Every Bahamian is entitled to at least one VAT-free funeral.
Well, I thank you.
I think somebody is trying to bamboozle someone somewhere, because at the end of the day, thank you very much. At the end of the day, you're going to say to me, come July 2014, you're going to add these value-added tax to find $200 million, and so what, the next July you can come with some other story?
I have a problem that it isn't on the whatever. Where do I go? Where is the price control? Who will I go to? Because that's one of the companies or business or government agents that I think they should get rid of so that we could have some monies, because they don't exist.
One person also asked when the Central Revenue Agency, which will police VAT, would be established. Financial Secretary John Roll would not give an exact date, but said it would be in place well before VAT is implemented. It is estimated that it will cost $5 million a year to run the CRA. Coming up on NB12, the minister responsible for gaming says the government is not discussing amending the gaming bill, and still to come, more on breast cancer research in the country.
It seems like yesterday. And yet, when I look how far we have come from that first meeting, it is light years.
NB12 is back with all the details right after this.